Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shuklam Baradharam Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Vadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vighnopasantaye Yasyat Virada Vaktradhya Parishadhya Parasatam Vignam Nignanti Satatam Vishvaksenam Tamasraye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheswaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Parasarya Vachah Sarojamamalam Geeta Gandhotkatam Nanakyanaka Kesaram Harikata Sambodhana Bodhitam Loke Sajjana Shat Padairaharaha Pepiyamanam Mudam Bhujat Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradvamsi Naha Sreyase. Bhagavan's grace, with Swami's grace, we have now beginning Adhyaya number 6, 6th chapter, Dhyana Yoga. It is also called Atma Samyama Yogam, Abhyasa Yogam, because it talks about Abhyasam, the techniques of turning the mind to the indwella. So it's also called Abhyasa Yogam and Atma Samyama Yogam because it's becoming one with Atma, right? So it's a practical, of course, everything is practical in Gita. So this is that aspect of practice that Bhagavan is teaching us. So Dhyana Yoga, Sri Bhagavan Vacha. The first slokam, a renunciant and a yogi is one who does his actions without depending on the results, not the one who discards his spiritual disciplines or the one who remains inactive. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Anasritaha karmapalam karyam karma karoti yaha sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragni chakriyaha. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Anasritaha karmapalam karyam karma karoti yaha sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnina chakriyaha. Padangal. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Anasritaha karmapalam karyam karma karoti yaha sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnihi na cha akriyaha. Yaha who karmapalan, the results, the rewards from the action, asritaha, not dependent upon. Asritaha is the one who provides support, right? Bhagavan's in Bhagavatam, out of 10 characteristics that are given for a Bhagavatam, the most important one is Asreya. Asreya, one who protects, one who provides his support for us, right? So Asritaha is supported, and Anasritaha not dependent upon. So who is not dependent upon the results of action, not depending upon that. Karyam, or the Karyam karma. Karyam means, Karyam karma is action. What is Karyam? Karyam means the action that have to be done. The Karyam karma means the action that need to be done. What are the actions that need to be done? There are different ways people look at it. That, the duties we have, the spiritual disciplines we have, and Bhagavan himself says, in Sankhya Yoga or Karma Yoga, karma, vikarma, karma, right? And so there are certain prescribed Then in our Suprabhadam we say kartavyam, right? So Kausalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate Uttishta Narsardula Kartavyam Daivamaknikam, like that Kartavyam Karyam. So there are different ways people define it. But simple way to understand is Karyam Karma simply means, as Bhagavan himself described, taught us earlier, any action that is given to me, because that is a gift from Bhagavan to me. The actions that I get may not be the actions that you get, right? Each one of us gets different actions, innumerable actions throughout the day. And each one of them, if you can take it to be Karyam Karma, it comes to us as Bhagavan's grace. So one who does this Karyam Karma, with karmapala manasataha, without depending upon the results of the action. See, the word here is very interesting. Anasritaha. It doesn't say who does not desire the result, who is not dependent on them. That means you're not even bothered about the result. That's the meaning of it. You do it, okay, as worship. Karoti, one who does it. Saha, he, sannyasi, he is the renunciant. Yogi is also the yogi. Okay, niragnihi, niragnihi, that means one who has given up agni, one who has given up fire. That is, the literal translation is that. But what does it mean? Not every one of us is Agnihotri, right? And there are certain niyamam, certain disciplines prescribed for Agnihotri. What does niragnihi means is spiritual disciplines. The disciplines of whether worshipping, doing puja, or whatever the spiritual activity that we undertake, niragnihi, the one who does not, one who has given up the spiritual disciplines, is not a sannyasi or a yogi. Na akriyaha, one who remains inactive, he is also not a sannyasi or a yogi. So who is a yogi and a sannyasi? Karmapalam anasritaha, karyam karma karoti. One who does that. Sri Bhagavan uvacha anasritaha karmapalam karyam karma karoti yaha sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnina cha kriyaha. Slokam number 2. My dear Pandava, know that what has been described as renunciation is embracing divinity only. None can embrace divinity without sacrificing the desire to possess. So there are two types of desires we have. The acquisitive desires and the giving up desires. And we're all caught in the tangle of acquisitive desires. As always, we want to possess, we want to acquire, and whatever we have acquired, we want it to be protected. So many things are there, right? So that desire is what Bhagavan is talking about. Yam sannyasam iti prahuhu yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyastaha sankalpaha yogi bhavati kaschana. Yam sannyasam iti prahuhu yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyastaha sankalpaha yogi bhavati kaschana. The padangal are Yam sannyasam iti prahuhu yogam tam vidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpaha yogi bhavati kaschana. The important word here is a very interesting word, is sankalpaha. Okay? And we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay? Pandava, yam, which one, what, which, sannyasam iti, sannyasam, renunciation, iti, thus, prahuhu has been said. Tam, that one, yogam vidhi, understand that to be yogam also. He, because, asanyasta sankalpaha, the person who has not given up sankalpam, okay, one who has not renunciated or given up sankalpam, Kaschana, no one, nowhere. Okay? Na yogi, as a yogi, na bhavati, will not be. Okay, those are the literal meanings. But basically it says, whatever has been described as sannyasam or renunciation, understand that to be yogam, which is embracing the indweller, embracing divinity, becoming one with divinity. Because the person who has not given up sankalpam cannot become a yogi, cannot embrace divinity. It's a very important thing. Sankalpam here means asanyasta sankalpaha. Now we go and do worship, we go and do puja, and priest says, what is sankalpam, we always take that. Just think for a second what we do. Every time we take that sankalpam as an example, we give our family gotram, our husband, wife, children, and mother, and it's all our limited family that we always worship. And we also desire, give me this, give me that, so many things that we have in our mind with our nakshatram and gotram and everything. We say that and do the worship and we come back. That is not true. That is not correct. Bhagavan doesn't want us to do that. Seriously, he does not want us to do that. Even when you approach him with that, arti, artharti, he gives 4 types of devotees. That comes later. But so when you desire something and ask, he will definitely grant that. But that is not pleasing him. He doesn't want us to do that. What does he really want is to really wish for the welfare of the whole universe. Sarvaloka hite rataha. We saw that, right? That is the desire we must have. So this sankalpam that we're talking about, the acquisitive desire, should be given up. Okay, if it is not given up, asanyastaha, if it is not given up, then he cannot become a yogi. Do you understand that? Very simple. Where it's impossible to touch the lotus feet, be in the company of God, or embrace him, or touch him, or experience him, as long as we have desires. Period. And as Swami says, where there is kama, Rama is not present. And in another place in Bhagavatam, it is very clearly given on several places, including where Mahabali is given the moksha. And the instruction, the teaching the Lord gives before putting his taking his third step and putting his lotus feet on Bali's head, is a phenomenal instruction he gives. And he very simply says, where the acquisitive desire, where the desire for acquiring all the material things, whatever it can be wealth, it can be fame, it can be whatever it is, right? Or scholarship or whatever, right? So long as you have that, then he will be away from that. He will not be there. So you've got to give that up. So asanyastaha sankalpaha. He cannot be a yogi. So what is important is sanyastaha sankalpaha. If you do that, then you become yogi. Yogi means embracing, hugging Bhagavan, becoming one with him. And literally, as Taittiriya Upanishad says, when you hug the Lord, what happens? It's not a physical hug. I mean, don't ever think that Bhagavan is limited to a physical form. No, absolutely not. It is the unending ocean of selfless love that has to be experienced. It has to be tasted to understand the incomparable bliss and the anandam and the peace that it confers. So when you hug it, what really means is that you immerse yourself in it, and that also in turn hugs you and immerses you in it. So it's a beautiful description that Taittiriya Upanishad gives for that. So I'm trying to describe that in my own limited way, using the word embracing the indweller, but it is not a physical hug. It is a mental hug where even the mind vanishes. Okay, so that is what he's talking about. Yam sannyāsamiti prāhuhu yogam tavidhi pandava nahi asanyasta sankalpaha yogi bhavati kaschana. Number 3. It is said that for the seeker of freedom, doing action is the means for progress. Purification of the mind is the means as he progresses to embrace the indweller and becomes skilled at it. The same message comes from every slokam as we have seen. Bhagavan repeats, reinforces to make sure that we understand it. Arurukshoho munehe yogam karma karanam uchyate. Yogarudasya tasyaiva shamaha karanam uchyate. Arurukshoho munehe yogam karma karanam uchyate. Yogarudasya tasyaiva samaha karanam uchyate. The Arurukshoho munehe yogam karma karanam uchyate. Yogarudhasya tasya eva samaha karanam uchyate. Those are the padangal. Yogam, embracing the indweller. Arurukshoho is doing it literally, to embrace the indweller, yogam, to embrace the indweller, who is desirous of that, munehe. Muni means the seeker of freedom, one who becomes free, as we saw earlier, right? That means there's no bondage. No bondage, zero bondage, absolutely free. And so that muni, one who's interested in that yogam, or why do I say interested? Arurukshoho means one who wants to climb up that, one who wants to develop expertise in it, become good at it, okay, become mature in it. Arurukshoho munehe yogam karma karanam, karma action, karanam as a tool, right? Uchyate, it is said. So for a muni desirous of freedom from all the birth, death cycle, and absolutely free. Bhagavan is the only one who is absolutely free. And for him to embrace the indweller, he has to do action, because action is the tool that is prescribed. It's a tool for his, it's a means for his progress. Yogarudhasya means as he practices embracing the indweller and becomes skilled at it, becomes very good at it. That is yogarudhasya. That means he has become very, very skilled at it. Tasya eva, for him only, one who has become very skilled at it, one who progresses to embrace the indweller and becomes skilled at it, for him only, shamaha. Shamaha, see, is a very important word. Shamaha here means there is dhammam, there is shamam. Okay? As Mrs. Janakir would know, they all practice yoga and all that. And Patanjali Yoga, it said the very first one is Dhammaha, then Shamaha. Dhamma means withdrawing the senses from the sense objects. But as we saw earlier, Bhagavan taught us, withdrawing the senses from the sense object alone is not enough. I might close my eye because I don't want to look at something that is very tempting. But after closing my eyes, after withdrawing my senses from the sense object, if my mind continues to think about that, what happens? Okay, Mityacharaha iti uchyate. Bhagavan said that then you are a hypocrite, even though the mind is thinking about it. So to withdraw the mind, to purify the mind, that is shamaha. That is the next step. Okay, so shamaha, that means here purification of the mind is karanam uchyate, is a means. It is said for whom? For the person who is embracing the indweller and becoming skilled at it. He has to purify his mind. That is the tool for him. Okay, so there are two tools given. First one is karanam, that is action. You cannot bypass action. You got to do action, but you got to do it with the right attitude, which is withdrawing the mind, purifying the mind. And how do you purify the mind? Only by offering everything to the Lord. That is the only way to purify it. Arurukshor muner yogam karma karanam uchyate yoga rudhasya tasyaiva shamaha karanam uchyate. Slokam number 4. So we're talking about embracing the indweller, action is important, purification of the mind is important, etc., etc., right? And without doing action, in embracing divinity, embracing action as divinity, you cannot renounce, right? All those things we saw. Now Bhagavan continues. He starts embracing the indweller when he does not attach himself to the sense objects or actions and renounces all possessive desires and resultant resolutions. When you want something, when you want to acquire something, you resolve also to do something. Even that must be given up. Okay? So he starts embracing the indweller when he does not attach himself. Okay? We also, anasritaha, we saw that earlier. He doesn't attach himself to the sense objects or actions that he is doing. And not only that, renounces all possessive desires and resultant resolutions. Slokam number 4. Yada hi na indriyarteshu na karma swanupanchate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarudaha tada tadochyate. Yada hi nendriyarteshu na karma swanupanchate na karma swanushajjate. Sorry, no, it didn't make sense. No, it's not pi, it is sharp. Okay, swanushajjate. Yada hi nendriyarteshu na karma swanushajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarudaha tadochyate. Padangal. Yada hi na indriya artheshu na karmasu anushajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yogarudaha tatha uchyate. Yada, when, he, certainly, with an ascertaining expression there, he, for sure, indriyarteshu, the objects that the senses go after, the sense object. In those objects, na anushajjate. Anushajjate means to be attached to. Na anushajjate. You are not attached to them. You are not. You're not even bothered about them, right? That thing. But when the attachment to the sense objects are not there, na karmasu, also, na karmasu, in actions also, anushajjate, they are not attached to that. Tada, then, sarva sankalpa sannyasi, the person who has renounced, given up all sankalpas, all acquisitive desires, he, yoga rudaha, he is the one who has become ripened in yoga, who has become an expert, who is very well advanced. Yoga rudaha uchyate is said. He starts embracing the indweller when he does not attach himself to the sense objects or actions and renounces all possessive desires. So he is the yoga rudaha. Okay? Yada hi nendriyarteshu na karma svanujashajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudaha tadochyate. Slokam number 5. Very important, very practical, very simple thing that we all can practice all the time. Okay? One must progress by one's own efforts. One must not put oneself down, because one is one's own friend and enemy as well. Is it not so? Bhagavan is asking. Uddharet atmana atmanam na atmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuhu atmanaha. uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam vasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhuhu atmaiva ripuhu atmanah. Uddharet atmana atmanam na atmanam avasadayet atma eva hi atmanah bandhuhu atma eva ripuhu atmanah. Atmana, your own effort, through your own efforts. Atmanam, yourself. Uddharet, you must lift yourself up. You must progress by your own efforts. That's what it means. Then, next phrase is, na atmanam avasadayet. One should not, na means not, avasadayet is to put yourself down, to derogate, I'm no good, I'm weak, I'm this, I'm that. They're all very bad. It's one should not be proud of one's accomplishments. One should not talk with pride and patting yourself on the back and all that. That inflates the ego. By the same token, the opposite of one putting oneself down, even through words, even through thought processes, or putting somebody else down, these are all absolutely no. That's what he says. Na atmanam avasadayet. Okay. Uddharet atmana atmanam na atmanam avasadayet. Atmanam na avasadayet. Okay. Atma eva hi atmanah bandhuhu. He, certainly, he in this case, is it not so? Is it asking? Okay. Because one is one's own friend. Bandhuhu is friend. Atma eva atmanah bandhuhu. One is own friend, isn't he? Also, Atma eva atmanah ripuhu. One is own enemy also, isn't it? Bhagavan says. Now, next slokam, he will describe what he means by one's own friend as well as one's own enemy. If you think about this, reflect on this, it will become very clear. Okay? I can put myself down, then I become my own enemy. If I'm my own friend, I do good, because I have the ability to do that. I can do good things and lift myself up. Then I'm my own friend. So I can do both actions. Okay? But one should lift oneself up by one's own efforts. Lift oneself up means what? To embrace the indweller. To desire to embrace the indweller. To want to do it. That alone is enough. That sincere desire to touch the lotus feet is enough. That's the spark that is required. Sincerity is required. Okay? No hypocrisy. Absolute sincerity is required because we cannot fool Bhagavan. Uddharet atmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva atmano bandhu atmaiva ripuratmanah. Our time is up for today, so we'll close with that. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu Samasta Lokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om.